Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey guys, I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
We get down into the nitty-gritty and examine the good, the bad, the ugly, and the laughable in these movies.
But we're always coming from a place of love. You don't watch these movies as much as we have unless you have a genuine affection for them. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back.
Hello, hello, hello.
We're here for another series on a fucking badass 80s flick.
Very excited.
This is Robocop, people.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
If you think of 80s game changer action movies, this is kind of there.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But holy shit, we're talking about Paul Verhoeven, first big American movie.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, he'd been doing his thing over in Europe, like probably filming titties and whatever is happening over there.
Never seen his pre-America oeuvre.
He went on a nice run of like American action flicks, though. He followed this up with Total Recall.
Yeah, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, and then Showgirls.
He has a weird like sexy streak in him, I think. But fucking dude, Total Recall and Starship Troopers, those things were the shit.
Those movies fuck.
Especially, I mean, Starship Troopers is probably pushing the envelope for us, but damn, Total Recall, fucking Schwarzenegger and shit.
Yeah, man. Those and those all sort of follow his style impeccably. Those are like great examples of the Verhoeven style, where it's, you know, elements of things that you see in everyday life that he brings in, like, you know, well, there were things that were everyday life in the 80s, like newscasts and things. People watch the news now and they get sad and depressed. But anyway.
But yeah, his style was wild. It was like super violent, but also dark humor, like heavy tone of satire.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We get an excellent score by Basil Poledouris, who did Red Dawn and more notably Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the score of this movie is really good.
It's an awesome score and awesome name on the composer.
Yeah.
Dude, the story goes, fucking Verhoeven didn't even want to do the movie.
That's
like,
nuts
initially
to me.
the script hit his desk and he just dismissed it out of hand based strictly on the title of the film. He said it was his wife who picked it up and looked at it and told him, you know, Paul, you should give this another look because you could really do something with this.
Thank God. Thank you, Mrs. Verhoeven. If y'all are still married, even if you're not.
It's so in an interview, he speculated that he feels like he's well suited to satire American culture, like in a very unique sort of way, because he's just not American and he doesn't have an agenda.
Yeah, it's an objective point of view. I like that.
He says, I'm an outsider looking in, and this is what America seems like to an outsider.
He's not wrong.
He kind of hits the nail on the head, especially the 80s America.
Oh, for sure. Very like 80s Reagan era craziness.
Yeah, it was like over the top everything and capitalism run amok and all that. Yeah.
So the story of even how this movie came to be is nuts because it's not based on source material, which is mind-boggling to me. You'd think it'd be based on some kind of a novel or something like that, but
absolutely, it feels like a comic book.
No,
like it's
totally. So some guys are walking out of a movie theater having just seen Blade Runner
Okay.
Where the humans are hunting robots, or maybe the robots are hunting robots.
They never ironed that out, did they?
That's right. And
what's your take on Blade Runner? Harrison Ford, replicant or human?
I think he's a replicant.
I think so too.
I do.
I feel like I've seen for sure Ridley Scott says in his mind he's a replicant.
Right.
So what else is there, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, if it's his story and his way or the highway, then you got to go with the creator. So the guys that wrote the story decided that instead of humans hunting robots, what if it's a robot hunting humans? Hear me out, you guys. I love it. So that's how this got started. They were like, fuck it, we'll make a movie about a robot that's hunting people.
You know what else I will say is Terminator had just been a big hit.
Yeah.
Not long before this. And I feel like if Terminator hadn't happened, this movie probably doesn't happen.
You think?
I can see like Terminator comes out and everyone fucking loves it. And it has that tone of like, like a dark, gritty, current day sci-fi story.
Yeah.
And, I could just see a lot of studios were probably like, what else do we have that's similar to that?
Right.
How can we cash in? But this movie's 100%, I feel like, original and 100% fucking awesome.
Yep. And we have a laundry list of amazing actors in this movie who to this point had all sort of been, bargain basement people playing character roles and stuff like that. But
character actors galore.
Yeah. But you've got Peter Weller playing the part of Robocop,
which I think they had originally thought about. We should get a big star. I think they even talked to Schwarzenegger about it. That would have been awful.
Oh no. See,
could you imagine how big he would have been? Like 9 feet tall, fucking.
The suit looks amazing, but it would have looked terrible on him. The costume, the Robocop costume.
He would have been bursting out of it. Like he fucking flexes and the fucking shoulder falls off.
He would have looked like the giant, the like Hulk Iron Man costume. Like that would have looked terrible.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I don't even know Peter Weller. He's awesome in this. I don't know him from much else other than I saw him on like. Buckaroo Banzai?
I've never seen it. I need to.
Dude, it didn't really work for me.
Really?
I tried to watch it and I just couldn't really get with it.
It has retained a cult popularity.
I've tried about
these many years.
I've tried about 10 times recently to watch this movie called Leviathan, which is like an underwater deep sea monster movie or something. He's in it along with another like awesome cast of character actors, but I always fall asleep 5 minutes in.
When was that made?
I don't know what it is. Late 80s. I think probably post Robocop, but I don't know. Maybe right about. I would guess that probably was trying to rival The Abyss.
We should get shit canned and watch Buckaroo Banzai after this.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Continuing on with our cast list, the most amazing Kurtwood Smith playing Clarence Boddicker.
That guy is my fucking idol, man.
Yeah, I adore me some Kurtwood Smith.
I feel like, I don't know, this role might have been the best suited thing. He's definitely got a type, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of like a wise ass, trash talking, like swaggering around guy. You listeners who may know him better from the dad from that 70s show, Red.
That's right.
He was also, dude, I was just the other day, I put on Rambo 3 and he was just randomly in Rambo 3 in like an opening scene. He's just a CIA guy.
Oh, that's right. I've forgotten all about that, man. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Rounded out with Nancy Allen, who I think she was in a bunch of De Palma movies, always usually playing like a sexy girl, but here is a super spunky badass.
Yeah, I had not seen her like this before, but she did great.
Yeah, as a Lewis.
Dude, Ronnie Cox.
Oh.
I love Ronnie Cox. Bogomil from Beverly Hills Cop.
He had the market cornered on the corporate heel in the 1980s.
Yeah, dude. He also was fucking the shit in Total Recall, playing almost the same character.
He's playing the exact same character. But everyone in this cast is dripping with charisma and talent. Even people in the smaller roles like Miguel Ferrer, who's absolutely lights out as Bob Morton.
Miguel Ferrer. loved him in fucking Twin Peaks, dude.
Oh, yes. One of my favorite shows.
Such a fucking asshole. He's built to play an asshole, I guess.
Yeah. Fucking phenomenal. And in this movie, everything detestable about corporate America in the 80s, but weirdly likable, like fucking Gordon Gekko.
Yes, he is. He's totally like greed is good. Corporate.
It's awesome.
Whatever corporate fuckery is like to be admired.
Oh, 100%.
And then also, dude, one of Kurtwood Smith / Boddicker's henchman, Ray Wise, another Twin Peaks alum.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Laura Palmer's dad.
So Verhoeven or whoever cast this shit, they cast a bunch of dudes who walk the fine line between really overacting, but being right on that line. Like they walk the line of it being laughable.
It's so good in this movie. It's so good.
But no, this movie has got no real stars in it, but somehow that still works.
I love it.
What's good about it is you don't know who's gonna make it or not. You know, like if you got the fucking Tom Cruise or Stallone movie, you know they're probably gonna be all right in the end. This one, you just don't know what's gonna happen next.
You want to talk about the movie, I guess, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Let's talk about this shit.
So the opening shot of the movie is the only actual footage of Detroit.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know, so they shot it in
Detroit is like a character in the film, but then all they have is some stock footage or something.
They shot it in Dallas, but for the time that makes sense, it was probably a lot safer to shoot it in.
I guess so.
Dallas.
Yeah.
So it opens up on Detroit. Newscast boots up, Verhoeven's staple, and it's painting a grim picture of life in the world in Detroit. And the newscast is led by Entertainment Tonight's own Lisa Gibbons. And and a character named Casey Wong. I
had such a fucking crush on Lisa Gibbons back in the day. She had her own talk show for a minute as well, like an afternoon talk show. Yeah, she's smoking.
She was awesome on Entertainment Tonight. The news,
this whole like the newsreel footage, that's like a Verhoeven staple.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a Total Recall thing. That's a Starship Troopers thing.
I'm here for it. I'm a big fan. The news in this particular broadcast seems outlandish, but no, it doesn't seem so far-fetched in the world.
Yeah, the world's gotten a lot crazier.
So on the newscast, they're talking about South Africa, which is controlled by a ruling white military, are going to keep the peace, quote unquote, against an African majority with a nuclear bomb.
This shit was made under like when apartheid was still up and running,
or assumes that apartheid never ended,
or was about to crumble. Yeah, right. But that's fucking wild.
I love it. You got when they talk about that, it cuts over to Lisa Gibbons, who's just like cutely smiling after they're talking about nuclear holocaust. She's like,
they're very upbeat about all these stories. Yeah. The next story is like that the Star Wars, like the space laser platform is whatever, gravity went out, and the president who was up on board, I guess, was embarrassed. He's floating around. And
I love it. Followed by a commercial for the Family Heart Center where you can handpick your own Jarvik artificial heart with financing options. That's
a wild commercial. It is. It's like they're selling fucking iPods or something.
Oh man!
Like he's like, you choose your heart. We got the Performance Heart by Yamaha.
How far away are we from a society where rich people can choose their own?
Dude,
heart. Like,
I want a performance like fucking Ferrari heart, you know,
a Lamborghini
heart. Absolutely, dude.
Also in this newscast, we got our first glimpse of Dick Jones, the excellent Ronnie Cox, who's an exec at Omni Consumer Products, OCP.
Right. They're talking about how Clarence Boddicker's running amok in the city, and he's killed 31 police officers, which is fucking bonkers.
How is he still walking the streets?
And there's now another officer clinging to life in the hospital or something like this.
Three more cops have been killed. One's clinging to life, and apparently the police are threatening to strike, but Dick is like, if you can't stand the heat, get the fuck out. Like, Jesus Christ.
Total asshole.
Yeah, that's
and
the
he's
leadership.
Like, yeah, it's important, I guess, as the plot goes, to sort of set up the fact that the police aren't happy with the fact that this OCP company has taken over management of the police force in the city. Right. It sort of shows the danger of letting corporations run things that should be nonprofit.
Like the military or whatever?
Or prisons or
Yeah.
or people who want to privatize school.
We could go on.
We're not going to do it. That's for another podcast.
We're talking about Robocop here. So cut to the police station.
Yes.
And it's absolute mayhem. We get a look at the chief, a real no nonsense guy.
I feel like that dude's every like 80s police station chief.
Oh yeah.
Like a black dude, clean cut, yelling at people.
I love it.
Fucking busting heads in there. But anyway, it is mayhem in there. And then we get our baby faced Murphy comes in.
That's right. The affable Murphy comes in as the new transfer. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember Wyatt Earp, Kevin Costner, like where he's talking to the guy Bat Masterson, who is also in his own right like a pretty famous lawman. But you're affable, Bat. Being affable will get you killed. He
came in, he's super cheerful. He's got rosy cheeks. Fucking very soft features on Peter Weller, like these very feminine cheekbones, and he's just a pretty guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, the boss does not have time for these niceties.
No. So
he sends him, he tells him to go suit up.
Yeah, so Murphy's heading back to the locker room. The officers in the locker room all seem very disgruntled about OCP taking over management. One guy suggests a strike, and this is another Verhoeven stable, the co-ed locker roroom.
Yeah, there was like titties out and stuff, like, and dudes were butt naked in the background taking showers or whatever.
That's right.
It feels like gratuitous nudity, but then you hear Verhoeven talk, and he's like, "No, I want for the future to come off as that it's sort of a gender neutral workplace."
Yeah, makes sense to me.
People aren't thinking about sex. They're just all working. I remember that in Starship Troopers for sure, because there was like some luscious ladies in the cadet locker room.
Yeah. So
anyway,
so he again talks about how he's from Metro South. He was sort of a hotshot, like Sergeant Nicholas Angel of London's Metropolitan Police Force.
It's a fucking reverse Hot Fuzz.
He got shipped out because you're making us all look bad.
This is the shit. They flipped it. It's like you're doing too good, so we're going to send you to the shittier district.
That's right.
It's kind of a mystery to why this is happening, but we get a little bit of illumination on that later.
Yeah. So the chief comes in right as the talk in the locker room is shifting back to strike.
That schlubby ass officer with the towel wrapped around his waist. He's like, it's that moment, that happens so often where someone walks in and they're standing right behind the guy and the guy doesn't know. And he's like, "We should strike, fuck them." And then everyone's sort of diving out of the way or whatever.
Yeah, so the sergeant's coming in. He removes the name plaque from the locker of the officer.
Yeah,
Fredrickson, I think his name was.
That was the guy who was mentioned on that newscast.
Who was hanging on for dear life.
So he's passed away.
Did not make it. And Sarge tells the cops that he doesn't want to hear any more about the strike. They're not plumbers, they're cops, and cops don't strike. So
absolutely.
And immediately calls Murphy front and center to send him out into the field.
Yeah, he's like pushing him right in the deep end.
And this is where, as they're going back up to the lobby area, we get our first glimpse of Nancy Allen's officer Lewis, bringing in a perp. You can't really tell it's a woman at first, because the officer's got this sort of a riot helmet on and coming in.
They're all sort of dressed the same, right? They got the body armor and the helmet.
Yeah, and she is absolutely beating the shit out of this guy she's bringing in. I love this Sarge, though.
She's wailing on him.
The Sarge, when you're done fucking around with that suspect. It's so good.
She takes her helmet off, and it's Nancy Allen, who's a lovely lady. Short hair.
Yeah, I like it.
They said on the commentary, that in the script it was written like she whips the helmet off, and this long flowing hair, flows down. And then Verhoeven sort of said, "You know what? I don't want there to be any sort of anticipation of like a sexual tension between Murphy and Lewis. They're just both here to work."
I think that this is much more effective, and Nancy looks great with short hair.
I think they had like the same haircut. It was like the police. It was a police issue do.
Murphy's comment when she kicks the dude's ass is, Pretty neat.
Pretty neat. Yeah. So basically, the sergeant says, like, you're going to take Murphy out and show him the area or whatever, or turf. Yeah. I don't know.
The neighborhood, he says. Show him the neighborhood.
Show him the neighborhood, right? So now I guess at this point, the scene shifts to OCP headquarters.
That's right. We're cutting to OCP.
That's Omni Consumer Products. We see a bunch of just like mid-level executives, I guess.
Mid-level executives, probably. I don't know if they're members of the board necessarily, but it's definitely they're on the way to some meeting has been called. Miguel Ferrer playing Bob Morton is they're all complaining about Dick Jones, who we met on the TV news segment earlier.
He's got his kind of crony, this guy named Johnson, who's one of my favorites.
Oh, we love Johnson.
And then this other guy, Kenny.
Yeah.
And they're like riding up there talking shit.
They surmise that Jones has called this meeting because they think the ED program has come online and he wants to show off.
Right, exactly. Which we don't really know what that is quite yet, but we're about to find out. The whole like the corporate scenes in this movie feel so 1980s.
Oh yeah.
To me, it is like you said, like the Wall Street Gordon Gekko, like profits before anything else.
Absolutely.
And just like dudes wearing slick suits and yeah, they all want to be master of the universe or whatever. At the meeting, the head of OCP, who's literally doesn't have a name.
No.
He's just credited always as the old man, and that's what he's always referred to as. He reveals that like, hey, we're going to level old Detroit, like the crime hotbed, to make room to build this new Delta City.
In 6 months, mind you.
In 6 months. Delta City kind of looks like the Tomorrowland or whatever, like Epcot Center or something.
Super futuristic.
Yeah, it's like egg-shaped buildings and whatever else, monorails and shit.
Monorails around it. It does look like Disney World.
So he says, but before we can do any of that and bring in the 2 million workers that we're going to build Delta City, which there's no way. There's no project that could exist. Like building the pyramids in Egypt, I don't think had 2 million people working.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I have no idea.
I just can't see how can you house 2 million people? Well, temporarily.
Yeah, it would be a massive infrastructure undertaking.
Yeah.
It would take some doing.
But at any rate,
it's ambitious.
Whether it's really going to be 2 million guys, they say basically we got to get rid of crime in old Detroit so that we can make it safe for the workers who are going to build Delta City, right? Now that's when he hands the meeting off to Dick Jones.
Dickie boy.
Yeah, he takes over. He reveals the plan. He's got this new. What is the enforcement droid 209, also called Ed 209 or ED 209.
It's also the first time that we hear a corporate America phrase that gets used throughout the movie.
Yes.
Good business is where you find it.
Yeah. Basically, he talks about, these are industries that aren't typically thought of as profitable.
Right.
Like, what else was? He had military, law enforcement.
Right.
But I mean, if you look at it now, like in the lens of 2019, like all those things are big money, and
absolutely.
like the military industrial complex is huge, and it is about like outfitting police with military grade weapons and everything like that. So another way in which this movie really like had an eye towards what the real future was going to be. But he walks in this Ed 209, which is basically just like a big, 8 feet tall, maybe robot. He can barely fit through the door.
I think it's supposed to be even taller than that. It looks like it's probably 10 or 12 feet tall. It's supposed to be huge.
He's sort of like almost like a T-Rex or something. Just walks on 2 legs.
Got 2 giant
has a body and 2 big arms. Cannons.
The Enforcement Droid 209. Sweet effects for 1987.
Yeah, it was fully stop motion animation.
That most of the things that you saw at this time that were stop motion like that were like creatures, monsters, and stuff like that. So it was cool to see a robot. Like
it kind of had that herky jerky motion that stop motion has, but for a robot, it kind of works.
A robot in a real world setting too. It looked like amazing.
You can kind of buy like, okay, yeah, I guess this thing does move kind of herky jerky. Yeah. But Dick Jones is pointing out like, not only is this going to be like great for law enforcement or urban pacification, but also they have like already a military contract in place.
Hot military product for the next decade.
So yeah, you can see that's probably like we're talking billions of dollars, like a military contract, right? So basically, he likes it because it's going to be a valuable product for the company. He doesn't seem all that concerned about how effective it's going to be at actually policing.
Right.
Just that it's going to make the company a lot of money.
And Morton all the times like, eye rolling and not participating.
He does not like the Ed 209 program. He's got his own baby.
That's right, which we don't know anything about at this point, but he's got his own project that he wants to pitch directly to the old man, but he won't have the opportunity because of Mr. Jones.
If you think about it, like Ed 209 is probably after RoboCop, like as memorable a thing as there is in the movie.
Oh,
like
totally.
I could, if I hadn't seen the movie in 10 years and you told me to draw a picture of Ed 209, I could come pretty close.
Right.
Like it sticks in your brain when you see it because there's something about it that's kind of funny, kind of threatening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the noises that even the noises that it makes, those things stick with you. Everything about it is memorable.
So they're going to give a demonstration of what Ed 209 can do. And they ask for a volunteer, or he pulls the poor Morton's friend Kenny.
And did you think it was hysterical that the tech running the actual technical demonstration for ED 209's name was McNamara?
I didn't even notice.
From like the Kennedy administration, the Nixon administration, or Johnson administration rather. So responsible for like big gaffes in the Vietnam War. That was like a flashback.
So they get this guy Kenny, they give him a pistol.
Oh, poor Kenny.
And are like, all right, here, wave the gun or point the gun in a threatening manner.
And Edu 209 bows up and, please put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply.
Which does like legit startles everyone in the room.
Everyone's freaked out.
Especially Kenny, who tosses the gun on the ground immediately.
Oh my God. What would your reaction be? Like,
if I was like out in the street and this thing came along?
Whatever. Like anybody in that room.
I don't know. I'd be like, holy shit, this is real.
You brought up a great point because what happens? All hell breaks loose. We start to hear the thing making lion noises.
Well, yeah, right? Like he tosses the gun, right? And then he's like, you have 10 seconds to comply.
You have 10 seconds.
And it's like, wait a second, what? He did the thing, and then that's when everyone starts to panic.
Well, the techs are freaking out. They're
like, shut it off. Yeah.
No one can get the thing to work. And the word overkill just doesn't do it.
Overkill, literally. Like it shreds poor Kenny up. It unloads on him. I think it fired until it ran out of bullets.
And you brought up an interesting point. Why was there live ammo in the robot?
There is no way this thing would have live ammo.
Why in the boardroom for the corporation?
On the top floor of like the office or whatever. Yeah, there is no chance they'd do this thing with live ammunition.
Yeah,
but
so hilariously they unplug it.
They just yank the wires out of the like control panel.
And that seems either that or the fact that it's run out of ammunition. One like stall the program and ED 209 sort of like rests on his
funny shutdown noise. It was like, I think it's probably the sound effect that the Millennium Falcon makes when it can't do hyperspace.
Or the plane in Indiana Jones at the Temple of Doom when it runs out of gas.
It could have, honestly, it could have been the same type, like the same sound guys, like they had that go-to sound effect.
If it had been the Wilhelm scream, I would not have been surprised. It's like that's the only way.
Kenny should have let a Wilhelm scream out. And then some anonymous person yells out like, "Somebody get a paramedic!"
Someone want to call a goddamn paramedic? I think that was probably Bob. I think it was Morton.
The dude is like, "Oh, poor Kenny is shredded. There's like nothing left.
There's nothing left of the body."
Oh my God! And the old man's reaction, it like isn't horror. No. It just seems like he's just disappointed. Like, damn it, this didn't work.
Do you sort of get that the old man is like on the verge of senility, maybe?
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm very disappointed in you.
There seems to be references to like that he's over the hill.
Right.
Kind of.
Dick refers to the whole snafu as a glitch, which is hysterical.
I know, poor Kenny. Oh man.
But we hear the old man tell him that this setback is going to cost the corporation, $50 million in interest?
Just like that it will take some more time to work out the kinks.
Yeah.
And I just thought about this. It's almost like a South Park. Like, oh my God, they killed Kenny.
They did.
They did. I wonder.
Interesting.
I know those guys like this movie.
Matt Stone got that. Yeah.
But yes, they. The old man sort of is pissed right at Dick Jones. That's when Morton sees like an opening.
Not one to rest on his laurels.
Yeah, he jumps in and was like, well, we could always have my program, the Robocop. We could give that a try. It's a contingency program just in case something like this happened. And he's like, all right, well, see me in my office in 20 minutes. I want a presentation.
Get your team in 20 minutes.
That's pretty quick.
Morton says that the whole program can be up in 90 days.
That's when he says we've taken promising candidates and already put them in high risk neighborhoods or high risk precincts. So that's why I think it's like,
gotcha.
That's gotta be, I didn't even until you're really paying attention. Like that's got to be why Murphy's been moved to the dangerous neighborhood.
Bob Morton having people sacrificed so he can get his promotion.
But yeah, the old man seems enthusiastic about it, and that's when so begins the antagonistic relationship between Dick Jones and
Jones
Morton.
Is so pissed.
He's pissed because he's like, I've been working on this Ed 209 for years or whatever it's been, right?
And then maybe we hear the only line cut back to Morton, who is super pumped getting his team together. We hear maybe the only serious moment from Johnson in the entire movie, and that's that Jones is going to come after you.
Yeah, Johnson's like Morton's right-hand guy, and he warns him, like, Jones isn't going to sit still for this. So, and he's like, whatever. He's like, I can take him.
And then they sort of have an R.I.P. Kenny moment.
Oh, yeah. They're like, what about, sad what happened about Kenny? And
that's life in the big city.
That's so harsh, so cold. That's why Morton, I just feel like Morton's like a junior Jones.
He is going to grow up into a fine
If
Dick
everything
Jones
goes as he
clone.
wants it to go, he'd be exactly like Dick Jones,
right.
I think.
That's right.
Yeah, pretty much. So then we go back to Murphy and Lewis. They're chatting it up on a coffee break.
Murphy's practicing his TJ Laser moves.
He's just spinning. He's in public.
Yeah.
Outside a restaurant, spinning his service weapon on his finger.
It kind of makes that vision of Detroit, and especially that moment, sort of makes it all seem like Old Westish almost. Yeah. And like he's a white hat.
I mean, there are definitely Western themes to this movie too. Yeah. Like the new cop's going to come in and clean up this town,
right? But he's out there twirling the gun and unloaded. We see, but then immediately he loads the firearm.
He pops the magazine in and then starts spinning it again. And it's like, now this is officially dangerous. I thought you were supposed to be a good cop, Murphy. But and he's Lewis says, pretty slick moves or whatever, and he's like, yeah, my kid loves watching this TJ Laser sort of Western cop show.
Yeah.
And the hero always spins the gun, so I got to try to do it too.
And then she like calls bullshit, and he's like, yeah, I like doing it. I like doing it.
It's good.
It's fun.
Now that is when I think the call comes in.
That
there's like been some type of bank robbery or something like this.
That's right.
And we get to meet Boddicker and his gang in the flesh.
That's right. Clarence and his boys are piled up in a van, and Clarence is furious because he opens the bags of money or the cases of money, and it's all been burned because apparently the guy who we learn in just a second after this, Bobby, the character that blew the safe, blew it and destroyed all the cash.
Yeah, he's like, you burned the money. And he's like, well, I had to... What could I do? I had to blow the door open. Yeah. And he's saying, well, we can't, because it's not exactly destroyed, I guess, but he's like, we can't, everyone's going to say, hey, if you get any money that's burned around the edges like that, it's involved from the heist or whatever.
I don't think you'd take cash.
Man, the dynamic with Boddicker and like his goons is really entertaining.
Oh, man.
Like he's just constantly berating them, and the guys all have like these big personalities.
In this movie, Kurtwood Smith can do no wrong. There's nothing that he does that I'm not 100% on board with. Murphy and Lewis they've taken up pursuit. They request backup. Backup is unavailable, but they'll try to have it to them in 15 minutes. They say,
which is an eternity.
Yeah, 15 minutes out. Which, that's a lifetime for a cop.
So there's sort of like just big exchanges of gunfire between the guys in the van, the bad guys, and then you got Murphy hanging out the window of the car with two guns shooting up the van.
Murphy is the only decent shot in the group who tags Bobby in the leg.
Got Bobby in the leg,
but no one else is finding Peter.
They're shooting out windshields and stuff like that, but it's not. No one's getting hit.
Yeah. So Bobby is wounded, and Clarence is like, pick him up. Pick him up.
Poor Bobby.
You have to deliver this line.
He's like, Boddicker like gets in his face and he's like, can you fly, Bobby? It's so memorable.
Can you fly, Bobby?
He's like, no, Clarence, no. They chuck him out the back through the windshield of the police car.
Cold. I mean, just cruelty.
I feel like they sort of lose him momentarily after that happens. They can't see anything. Got to get Bobby out of the windshield of the car.
You've heard that Clarence at this point is 31 times a cop killer in Detroit. Now you kind of see the level of depraved that you're dealing with, where he's like, I'm going to take this guy that's alive, my own guy, and now I'm going to use him as a means for escape.
Which I assume is rooted in the fact that he damaged the money, right?
I assume so. I think at that moment he immediately became expendable.
So then the pursuit. The Murphy and Lewis, they find the van empty at this old abandoned steel mill,
right?
Which that was a Pittsburgh location.
nice.
Was there steel industry in Detroit as well around all the cars and stuff like that?
I don't know if there was a steel industry or if it was just car manufacturing.
Okay. But you do picture Detroit as that like kind of industrial city.
Yeah, I mean, it was at its pinnacle was the hub of engineering in the United States as far as Henry Ford and the assembly line. It revolutionized industry in America.
The steel mill as a location is awesome. It looks so awesome. It looks fake. But I think it was real.
It sort of looks like Axis Chemicals in Batman.
I just was thinking the same thing.
Tim Burton Batman movie.
Yeah, man. And on the commentary, they say like this was a real functioning steel mill that had just been shut down before production after like being in business for over 100 years. Like that the furnace, the forge had not gone out.
Man,
like and since 18, whatever.
Yeah, if you asked someone to describe what they thought a steel mill looked like, having never seen one, this is the place that they would describe.
So they get there, they're still waiting on backup, and they're still saying 15 minutes for backup. Do you think the backup's being intentionally held back?
I don't know.
Like we know about the OCP's got their plans.
Ostensibly, backup arrives because but it has to.
I feel like that maybe OCP, the way they're trying to get a Robocop candidate, like that they're purpurposefully holding back the backup.
I don't know. I feel like I would love to see. I feel like that leaves a paper trail. I would love to see the paper trail that Robocop probably would have followed to find out that information. Like, if one of these candidates calls for backup, don't send it for a little while. Oh my God, that's
like his secret emails or whatever. But so Murphy and Lewis sort of are trying to decide what to do, and they decide they're going to go in without backup.
Well, I'd be like, no, I'm going to sit tight.
If they're in there, they're in there. You can wait.
Not going anywhere. Yeah, we'll wait them out.
The van's right here, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, they decide they're going to go in because they're just hero cops like that.
Oh, man.
But that will wind us down for this portion of the movie.
Oh, my God. Unexpected.
Yeah, we're going to have to pick up and find out what's going to happen.
I was getting so excited about what was happening next.
We're about to find out, dude. You're only going to have to wait a little bit.
You guys are going to have to hang on. If I have to, you have to.
All right, well, we will be back with more Robocop and more awesomeness.
See you guys next time.